Whatever that is, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, sexually. If something's going on, don't be ashamed. Go get help. Ask one of the teachers, come ask us. We'll figure it out, all right? There's nothing to be ashamed about. All right, thank you. Pat. Can we put Joell up on the screen, Pat? Joell, thank you. Joell, you ready?
Hi, everybody. My name is Joell. My story has a lot of similarities with a lot of what the other people have talked about. So why am I here? And I've got my sheet too, because I don't do this very often, so I hope you'll be patient with me with that. Somebody told me one time that it's my story, but it's not my story to keep. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm up here today. I was thinking about you guys last night before I went to sleep, and then I was thinking about you this morning when I woke up. And I'm just hoping that I don't want to speak to you. I'd like to bring you along on the journey. So I'm going to be asking a couple questions as I go through, and I'd like to invite you guys just to think about them. You don't have to answer them to anybody else, to yourself, but hopefully they will help you figure some stuff out for yourself. So I have a question, the first question. How many of you have lost someone who's dear to you, or have been wounded or hurt by someone that you thought loved you? Yeah. I thought there might be a lot, and especially at such a young age. The thing is, we can't control what happens to us, but we can decide how we're going to react to what happens. My son Dominic was murdered here in Watsonville 6 years ago. And I first spoke to you guys when it had been less than a year, and my speaking to you really helped as far as making an impact statement to the person who killed him. There was a young girl who was with him at the time, not his girlfriend. She just happened to be there, and she was shot 4 times, but she did survive. So she was there to point him out and to make sure that he was arrested, and now he is in prison 60 years to life, which will be until the end of his life, unless the rules change. The first I'd like to just talk to you a little bit about Dominic. He was smart, he was athletic. He was smart, he was athletic, he could light up a room when he walked in, and that's my daughter there too. So the greatest power that he had, according to his friends, they called it a power, was that when he was speaking to you, he could look into your heart, or they even said your soul, and he could see what was good in you, and he would point that out. And so everyone loved that about him, and he changed a lot of lives, even during the time that he was here because of that. So he was also an addict. He started using drugs when he was in 6th grade. Ended up going to prison for a couple years, like many of the people here. But he really wanted to be a normie. He didn't want to be an addict. Most people don't choose to be an addict. They choose to start using drugs, and then the drugs take over. But you can choose to get treatment. That's the choice that you can make there. So being active in his addiction put him in dangerous situations. So I just want to have a little side note there that it's really good for you guys to think about where you're going, who you're going with. You guys might be innocent, just like the young girl who was with him, but if you're hanging out with people that are doing stuff that might be on the edge, then you're putting yourself in danger. So when I was able to write the impact statement and speak to the person who killed our son, who is on the next slide, his name is Michael Miller, and we heard that he was envious of Dom because he had so many friends and people liked him and all of that. He was also brought drugs to him that day that he shot him, but it was premeditated. He had decided that that was what he was going to do when he got there. So when I was able to speak with him at the impact statement, when they have the sentencing, I'm going to read this part just because I think it's pretty important. And the main purpose or focus of this talk, besides telling you about what happened, is about forgiveness. And you've heard a lot of people talk about that. So when I spoke to him, I said, "You have already taken my son, and I refuse to allow you to take the rest of my life. You can't have the joy that I experience with my grandchildren, my relationship with my husband, or my daughter. You can't have my friendships or the satisfaction that I get from helping others or in working with my clients. I choose to live fully rather than die from the poison of anger. Forgiveness," now this is important, "forgiveness does not mean that I condone your actions or deny my grief or will ever forget the pain that you caused me and my family. Hearing my daughter throw up behind the bathroom door when she heard that her brother was dead, watching my sweet and sensitive husband retreat from me in his pain, or seeing my mom, Dominic's godmother, collapse in grief when we told her the news. Seeing my brothers cry. It's not dependent on your participation or remorse." And then I said, "Here's a definition that helped me to recognize what it is and what it isn't. Because some people have a hard time forgiving. They think, I can't do that. But when people say to you, forgive and forget, that's a big fat lie. You will never forgive, you will never forget, but hopefully you'll be able to forgive." So, this is a proverb, it's a Buddhist proverb, and it says, "Anger and forgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die." So the thing is, forgiveness is not about the other person, it's about you. And it's about the choices you make to move on in your life, not to let it hold you hostage. So as I said, it's not accepting, it's not saying that what they did was okay. And by the way, I have some copies of this up here, if any of you wanted to grab one so you can kind of think about it, or if you want to share it with someone else. It's not pretending like it didn't happen. It's not forgetting, not hiding your feelings, not dependent on another person's apology or remorse. In fact, you don't even have to ever see that person. It's not easy or simple for most of us. For me, when I got the phone call from the detective who said, "There's no easy way to tell you this, but your son has passed," I closed my eyes and I saw the words, "Pray for the person who did this." And I prayed for him immediately, and I told him that at the impact statement. I said, "I have been praying for you before I even knew who you were." So what forgiveness is, it's ceasing to put harsh blame. I'll just go through it really fast. It's separating the offense from the offender. It's being able to make judgments without being judgmental, knowing that there's always more to a situation that meets the eye. You know, when we were going through the trial, his name was Michael, his mom was standing outside, sitting outside on the on the bench, and both my husband and I in different times went up to her and we said, you know, we want you to know that we're not the only ones who lost a son that day. She lost a son too. No one wins with this kind of situation. And this is really important. It's peace. It's peace that comes from releasing your anger and blame. It's reinforcing your personal power. A lot of people were talking about that today, and regaining your well-being. It's something you do in your heart. You never have to see or speak to that person again. If they hurt you, you probably don't want to. So every day, practice. And I have an exercise that I do, and I see, like when I heard that my son was shot, I kept seeing his face as if he were shot, because he was shot 4 times in the face. And I thought, this is not helping me. So I would see his face and I would switch it over and I would see him smiling. And then of course it would go back to that and I'd switch it over and see him smiling. And I was able to do that until now. I never see him as if he were shot. I always see him smiling. Thank you. So I've got to be tough here. So I want you guys to do something for me. If you can close your eyes and think of somebody that you need to forgive. It might even be yourself. And it's not easy. It takes time. Switch the picture. See yourself forgiving and moving on. And then just keep doing that on a regular basis. So we have a lot of Dominisms. That's what we call things that Dominic used to say, and one of them is called the 2-foot drop from your head to your heart. He would say, Mom, you know, they know it here. They just haven't gotten it here yet. It's the 2-foot drop. So you guys will, if you keep practicing, be able to have that 2-foot drop, and you'll be able to get to that place where you can take back your power, you can have peace, and you won't be held hostage by whoever it was who hurt you. Oh, I do. I want to say one more thing. Are you guys okay with that? One more thing? Okay. So, now what did I do with my paper? Well, you've heard that hurt people. So that's another reason to move forward as much as you can towards forgiveness. Don't be someone who, because you were hurt, reaches out and hurts other people. Each one of you guys is important. You've heard that today already several times. And what you do is really important too, because people are watching you all the time. Your little brothers or sisters, your friends. And I didn't think about this when I was in 9th grade, but I want to challenge you guys to think about your legacy. We all have so many minutes in our life, and thanks for sharing some of those with me today, because you will never get those minutes back. They're gone. So think about how you want to use your minutes, how you want to move forward, in which way, and what kind of legacy do you want to leave? How do you want people to remember you? Do you want them to remember you as a good person, who was a good friend, a good daughter, a good brother, sister? Think about those things when you make those choices. You know, is this going to be a good legacy, or is this going to be something that hurts people, and especially your families? All right, you guys, thank you.
All right. So what is something you learned from Joell today? Somebody right here. Do what? Move forward toward forgiveness. Mark, keep your hand up. Who else? Somebody else that learned something else from Joell today, a life lesson. You gotta speak up loud.